Is this my exit? No. Whew. Thought I would make a quick video. I always say that. See if we can keep it concise. I wanted to speak about this topic for a while. Probably go on for a long time. But, little preface. As I was driving home just an hour ago, saw one of those big green signs tell you the mileage for upcoming destinations. And it said Tallahassee. It was like 206 miles. They just don't come across very often, the mileage signs with such long distances out here. But it reminded me, when I was growing up, we would take long car rides through the Midwest, and you would often see those big green signs. You know, you might see something that was like 300 miles away, which is such a big distance. Anyway, it just had me reflect back on those trips. And I imagine those distances, and I think to myself, what do I remember seeing out there? Very little. It's just fields and fields and fields, miles and miles and miles of what you would otherwise describe as nothing. A bunch of farmland. It got me thinking. You know, folks talk about, especially in this new wave, this new garden wave that I've got a hold of, how much food you can produce in, your backyard, much less a quarter acre. And as you drive past these fields, it's just square miles, right? And here they talk about, you can feed your neighborhood in, 1,000 square feet. It struck me as interesting, if not odd. It's like, wow, okay. You can produce all this great, amazing food in a very small space. Imagine how much actual food you could produce in this farmland if it wasn't just, monocropped. Anyway, this led me to the larger question of, so why aren't more people planting little gardens in their backyard to feed themselves amazing food? And it comes down to the word care. Maestro Passio speaks eloquently on the topic. It's one of the major takeaways in his teachings. Is the lost art, the lack of existence of care in general, and coupled with the lack of care is the idea of being disconnected, literally and figuratively. So, people are pretty dumb, but they're not as blatantly dumb as they are apathetic. And apathy is the opposite of having care. And they, if we were to look at the manipulators behind the scenes, the dark occultists, have done very well at breeding and fostering apathy with people. You might at first disagree with me and say, nah, people are just stupid, but if you took just an average person and said, what's better for you to consume, healthy food or unhealthy food? Average person is smart enough to say healthy food. Follow-up question, what do you tend to consume? And they'd probably say unhealthy food. Last question, since you know one is better for you, but you choose the other one, why do you do this? And whether they could actually iterate it or not, the answer would be, speaking for them, because I don't care. See, so many people care so little about what is important, but doesn't that seem counterintuitive? Especially since, by definition, they are very important things. It would seem it would take a very strong force to override what the body knows, whether you want to speak to it from the mind, the heart, the gut, what the body knows is better or more important, more advantageous perhaps in the long run, would take something very significant or very persuasive to override what is the better decision. So for so many people to have so little care about things that are important, however you want to define that, whether that's health, safety, truth, freedom, for people to be engaged in activities that are antithetical to the pursuit of such activities, we have to ask why. Why is it happening? And also importantly, how do we reverse that? Well, as I've stressed in other videos, as taught by the people that I'm studying, the why must be traced back to a root cause if you ever want to solve a problem. So, I feel to keep concise an explanation as to why people don't care. Yes, it's being manipulated. But what is the mechanism at play? It's because we're disconnected. And you can take this literally as we are disconnected from the source or the point of origin of common everyday things. And you could extrapolate that out to we are disconnected from ourselves and from creative source, which I call drug, in and of itself. But we can keep it very simple and easy. Along with being disconnected from the origin of things, we're also distracted. Those two work in congruence with each other. They work simultaneously. The disconnected is so easily viewed just by looking at food, right? Instead of growing their own food, most people go to a grocery store where the options are, generally speaking, fairly shit in terms of overall health and nutrition. But the packaging is beautiful, and the convenience is an 11 out of 10. And since it's been only about less than 2 generations, at least in America, where people were intimately involved in the production of their food, that fast in such a short period of time, people have been divested from their care associated with the origin of the food and instead distracted by the beautiful packaging of otherwise less advantageous, less healthy food choices. So it's happened very fast. But when you remove yourself from the point of origin, in this case with food, it's literally growing that garden in your backyard. And it's interesting because that point of origin, that source, is also nature itself, which goes hand in hand or hand in glove with Trog, or the true reality of God. As God is, not to get on a tangent, but if we can remove the paradigm of thinking of God in an anthropomorphic way, it's not a version of a human or a man. It's more of a omnipresent technology that's behind everything. Then God is interwoven into nature, and we have removed ourselves from that interaction and become distracted by other less meaningful things. Because for those that plant their own garden and grow their own food and consume it, they are reconnecting not only with the origin of the food, but also with nature itself. So you can see, if you are more intimately involved with whatever the project or an object is, but specifically the things that are important fundamentally across the board to all people, right? The quality of their food, relationships, water, air, you name it, the things that actually matter, connection to source. The more connected you are to it and not wasting your time on some other frivolous activity, the higher your degree of care for that, and then I believe it also bleeds over into the other things that are important. Freedom, truth above all else. So how do we realign ourselves with care? Well, quite simply, we need to reconnect with the things that are important. And then there will be an near instantaneous positive feedback loop. Because if you go out and grow a garden, you create delicious, nutritious, healthful foods, suddenly your eyes will be open to the other options in the supermarket aisles, and you'll say, no, this is shite. I want nothing to do with this other food because I care about the quality of it. And then that will hopefully overlap into the other important aspects, specifically truth, and coupled with that, freedom. It'll expand from there. So care, also known as the generative principle, is what has been lost from most people across the globe, specifically or especially played out here in America, since that's where most of us are located that are listening to this video. And there's so much more that can be said about care, but I want to keep this video short. If you want to think of it as the attention you give something, both with all three, not just with your thought, but then with your subsequent emotions, and most importantly, your action, right? If you recognize something, internalize it, and then take a new or changed action and embody that knowledge, display that you care about something. That's what's most important here. And in order to facilitate that change in perspective, one needs to reconnect with the origin of really anything. But I'm not here to get people to care more about the frivolous activities, about the TV shows they're watching, or care about the sports team on TV, but to care about the things that have a much larger, overarching impact on your life and therefore the lives of others. Truth, freedom, health, those kind of topics. So the big takeaway: care is what's missing. It has been intentionally scrubbed from our society through distractions, coupled with the severing of our connection to the origin of important things, specifically nature itself. So, can you believe it or not, the takeaway is reconnect with nature so that you can cultivate your care, process through the trivium, thoughts, emotions, actions, and then ultimately take more improved, better, moral, however you want to look at it, actions to express that care. See ya.